What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and in this video we'll be talking about Bitcoin. It is the 6th day of March, and here we are sitting at about $70,000 with roughly 10 hours left in the day. Hit that like button, subscribe, and thank you all for being here. Yesterday we did have a very, not yesterday, I'm sorry, 2 days ago, we had a very impressive day, right? 6% is not the craziest day, but that is above average, especially what we've seen over really like the past half year, even beyond that. 6% is a pretty good day for Bitcoin, and we had some volume to back up that size. It's nice to see. Not only that, but we closed above this high close here, the highest daily close that we had throughout this whole range. We closed right above there. We are in jeopardy of providing this to be a potential fake out, a slightly higher high, a breakout that then rejects and comes back down immediately. It's like your breakout stops, your breakout doesn't break out, it just stops right in its tracks. That's a fake out. We are in jeopardy of that if we close below this white line. Now there is a situation, a scenario where we could close below this white line, we could come back down, we get a higher low, and we're still rallying back up. I mean, we have seen a lot of volatility over the past week. Let's not forget that not just 2 days ago was this impressive, but since the 28th of February, here we are 1 week later, right? Less than a week, we moved up over $10,000, 63K at the low, 74K at the high. In like a 5-day period, we moved up $11,000. So even though, yes, in the grand context of everything, we don't want to close back below this level, I don't know if it would be too detrimental, because again, we've moved up $11,000. Maybe we do see a little bit of volatility to the downside. It's okay. And again, being below this line is not incriminating in itself. If I had it my way, is that Burger King? If I was at Burger King and I had it my way, I would not want to see us close below this level. But at the same time, again, I don't think that closing below here means that we're going to necessarily shoot down. There are multiple scenarios that could happen here where this could be a fake out, yes, and we could rapidly approach lower prices. If we see that, again, I'd revert back to the same thought that I had for most of this range, which is that we would see a slightly lower low. We'd see a slightly lower low, and then from there likely recover, and then maybe we get our freak on, right? I still am expecting that we will be at a high point in the price at some point by the end of April or May, and then I think June, July, August, that will be the ending rally of the bear market to the downside. I do think that we're going to continue to go down. Yesterday, I felt it appropriate, maybe it was within like the theme of the market to talk about the end of the bear market, but I did say several times in there that I didn't think that we were at the end of the bear market. I did think that we were going to go lower. This was not the perspective that I personally believed, but there were a lot of people who were enticed by this idea, so I thought I would just share what that perspective might look like. You know, there is a possibility, there is a scenario, my friends, where this could be the low. We don't have to go lower, and I openly accept that. I don't believe that to be true. It's the same things that I was saying yesterday. Is I don't believe that to be true. I do believe that we will see lower lows, and I do believe that we'll go lower. But through yesterday's analysis, I think we came to the conclusion that going below 50K, even in the depths of the bear market, even at the bear market end, which we have, I think, yet to see, might not be something to expect. We actually might uphold this 50K area. And if we do go below it, I would expect that we barely go below it. You know, certainly nothing below 40K. Anyways, I don't want to talk about the macro stuff so much today. I do want to focus on the short-term stuff because we are seeing a little bit of volatility. And getting back to that point of focus, I don't think that it's, again, detrimental to close below this white line, but it would be better to not. If you're a bull. Remember, again, this thought here, that might throw people off if they are bullish. They see us close below this line, that might send a little bit of a panic. But just remember, guys, we literally moved up $11,000 in 5 days. A little bit of volatility is not going to hurt, okay? Finding a higher low is not going to hurt. I don't care if we are back below here necessarily. I think as long as we're in this kind of context of a breakout, I think that we're fine, right? If we look at this here, we could close here maybe in this context. We could even go lower and close here and still bounce off of this line. And then even if we go below this line, this prior resistance point here, we still have higher lows. Like, there's still positive context to take out of this even if we do close below. But again, this other idea, There's a few different paths we can go on. That's why I'm throwing us all over the board here. If this were to be considered a fake out and the market were to react in a way that it was a fake out, we might move down faster than we even moved up here. And if we start picking up the pace, we move down, we really could see a lower low here. Even in your worst nightmares, even in your fiercest dark dreams, where we see a slightly lower low and we just plunge down here, I don't think that we're ready to go anywhere in the low 50K areas. I don't think that we would go too far below this, right? More or less, what I'm expecting is the same thing that we expected over here, is that we're just going to be moving sideways. Dumps are for pumping, pumps are for dumping. We just had a pump over the past 5 days. Here we are dumping. You know, it's exactly what we would expect to see. 1 hour time frame. I want to zoom in here and then I want to zoom back out. All right, 1 hour time frame. Looking at this, as we're pulling down, I mean, you can imagine here how many people were looking at this like a bull flag, and they're saying, "Oh my God, we're breaking out!" And now this is discouraging, right? We picked up a little bit of volume, right? Volume is decreasing though. Volume's picking up as we're moving down. That's not necessarily good, but overall volume is decreasing. And volume decreasing in this format might give us the impression, and it does, that this overall range is the consolidation phase, not just this quote unquote bull flag here, which I don't think this is the bull flag. I think this overall is the consolidation phase, and that's what we're in right now. I wouldn't call this a bull flag, but still, we're consolidating. And as of now, we're holding prior resistance as support. We actually haven't even interacted with this closing high area yet. So as we're pushing lower here, as we're breaking through this little phase right here to the downside, we're not really picking up too much volume. We are picking up volume a little bit, but we're not picking up too much volume. It's the 13th hour of the day. I want to just go back and point something out real quick. You know, we look back at the 15th hour of yesterday. It was a pretty big candle to the upside. Or two days ago, I'm sorry, we look at the 15th hour of yesterday. That was a pretty big candle to the downside. We made a sudden shift there. You know, this day here, the 15th candle was a pretty big move up as well. That stuff typically happens, and that's revolvent around the opening of the stock market. You know, we have a lot of institutional money in cryptos, in Bitcoin specifically, and I don't think it's any coincidence that we see sudden shifts, movements generating around the opening of the stock market, the U.S. stock market. $70,000 right now. 7 hours left in this, 7 minutes left in this 1 hour candle. We look at the 1 hour RSI, and it is a bit bearish right now. Reluctantly so. You've been down in this oversold zone and rejecting it, but the fact that you have lower highs here and you had higher highs here, it's hidden bearish divergence. I think that you do have a date with destiny down in this oversold zone. That might be very obvious at this point. I mean, you're already there technically. Stochastics look bearish, and the MACD's bearish, sure, but it could look worse as well. You know, I don't think that we have too much lower to go. If we do, what we'll do is we'll find support soon, somewhere between about 69.7K, somewhere in this area. We'll find support. We'll come back up. If we were to go lower, I bet we would break out of this. People would get excited, and then just like it did back here, it would start to reject down. If on this rejection we're picking up volume, that might imply then that this was an overall fake out and that we go lower. But again, I don't think it's appropriate to suggest that now. I think it's too early to tell. Right now, I'd like to take the stance that whatever we're going to do, wherever we are going to find support, we're likely going to recover and we're likely going to move higher at this point. Looking at this on the 4 hour time frame, the RSI, it's giving the impression that it's broken out of this trend. But yesterday I did say, I'm sorry guys, yesterday I did say that we could come down to this line to find support and then continue to try, right? We've got this nice upward sloping trajectory, not just on the lows, but on the highs as well. It's a bit of a broad range, and that's okay. That's totally fine. So, I mean, that might be exactly what we do today. The end of the day is over here, right? This is the ending of the day is that line right there. We could come down to the end of the day, close this day red, and then tomorrow, today's Friday, right? Yeah, today's Friday. So then, I mean, tomorrow would be Saturday. I don't know, a weekend pump? It's not likely. It could happen. It could happen. If we break through this line, that would definitely give me the impression that this was overall just a fake out maneuver. And that's fine, whatever. All we're seeing is volatility. It goes back to that same thought that we've had throughout this whole range as well, which is that every pump gets dumped into, every dump gets pumped into, right? predominantly for most of this range, I did think that we were going to see a lower low, but also in the background to that, I was expecting that we would recover from there shortly then after, right? And that even whenever we pump up to these levels up here, shortly then after we will dump back after that, right? Every dump will get pumped, every pump will get dumped. We're just consolidating in this range more or less with maybe a few outliers here or there to the upside and the downside. It was the same thoughts back here. And every time we pumped, we dumped. Every time we dumped, we pumped. It's just, and most of the time we were just moving sideways and being boring. And I mean, really throughout the whole range, that's exactly what we did. You know, it's the same expectation here. A lot of people are taking this as a moment to say that we're about to go up to 100K, that the bear market's over, you know, stuff like that. And again, I made a video yesterday enticing that idea, or what's the word I'm looking for? Not enticing, entertaining that idea. Because it is a possibility and it's something that we should address. But still, and I said this plenty of times yesterday, I'm going to say it now, I don't think that we're at the end of the bear market. I think it'd be really weird if we were. And the only way that I could justify that this was the quote-unquote end of the bear market is if we were never in a bear market. We're just in a super cycle, and this could have been our wave 1 of the super cycle. We're in wave 2, the corrective phase of this cycle, and then wave 3 is about to start, which would be bigger than wave 1. Even if we go lower, even if this is not a correction, but it is a proper bear market, there is still a solid chance that the next bull market will be bigger than this last one, because this is a pretty weak bull market, you guys. And we've got a lot more bullish infrastructure set up as far as like regulatory framework goes. It's not perfect, but it is good for the long-term stuff. 4-hour time frame here. The long-term dynamics, I should say, not just long-term stuff, but whatever, it's the same thing. Looking at these lows here, we are right at this kind of trend line. I think a lot of people are probably looking at this trend line and counting on us to find support here. My thoughts with trend lines like this is, you know, maybe we do find support, but we probably come back down and we go down, or we don't find support at all. We come down, we break through it. And again, I think that that's whenever we would find support. That's whenever we would actually start to move higher, is right below the line. Because everybody's going to say, the uptrend is broken. We've broken out of our uptrend. When really it's like, that's a higher low. That's a higher lows here, higher low there, even a higher low there. We started our uptrend here, right? And this line is not the line we're respecting, right? We're still in an uptrend even if we're not respecting this line here, okay? As long as we have higher lows and higher highs, that's an uptrend, right? We would no more be breaking out of the uptrend if we saw a break below this line than we were breaking out of an uptrend whenever we broke above it here. But look, again, the same kind of context. Here's this trend line. I'm going to delete all the chicken scratch here so that it's a little bit more easy to see. You know, whenever we broke above this line here, that was the worst time to buy. It was the worst time to be bullish. I have a feeling that when we break below this trend line, that will be the worst time to be bearish as well. And it might be the best time to buy, the worst time to sell. As we're moving down, volume is decreasing. You can see it more clearly on the 4-hour time frame. As we're moving up, volume is there. It's coming in. It's not necessarily increasing, but it's there. It's coming in. You know what I mean? And that's I think something to note as well. That's something significant to note. Looking at the RSI, again, we'll be breaking out of that uptrend in the price, but this trend, or not the uptrend, right? I'm going against my own logic there, breaking out against the trend line, but the RSI's trend line, I think, will prevail. I think it will uphold. We will go lower and bounce off of this area. Meanwhile, we will be below this trend line here. So I think everybody's going to focus on the wrong trend lines. Now with the RSI, trend lines definitely do matter. I think they do matter. With the price, not so much. And not always does the RSI trend lines matter, but more often than the price for sure. The stochastics look bearish. I think once we get the orange line in the oversold zone, once we're oversold, we're ready to move up. The last time that we were oversold here was at a low point. The last time that we were oversold here was at a low point. I'm assuming that here, when we get oversold, it will also be at a low point. And then we just wait and see what happens afterwards, right? We have to wait and see what the recovery looks like. It is possible that this is the highest price that we'll see. Here's the crazy thing, guys. You ready for this? Let me just double check and make sure that this is accurate here. Okay. Yeah, this is very possibly the highest price that we will see Bitcoin have for the rest of 2026, right? I was going to say all of 2026, but we did have higher prices. We were up here earlier in 2026. I didn't remember the timeline here, but it's possible that we don't go above this high. I don't believe that either. I personally don't believe that. I think that we will go above this high, but it's completely possible that that's the highest price that we will experience in 2026 from here on out. Maybe. Again, I don't believe that, but there is that situation as well. It depends all on how we recover. If we come up and we're finding resistance at prior areas of resistance and we come back down, we're getting a lower high and now we're getting lower lows, okay, that's not good. You know what I mean? Looking at this here on the MACD looks bullish overall. Our histogram right now is seeing a low point that we have typically bounced at. Is this the lowest point that the histogram goes to? No, we've definitely seen lower readings, but we're getting to those low points in the histogram, we're getting to those low points in the stochastics, and those low points in the RSI where we have been finding support. Looking at this on the daily time frame, the daily RSI really did flip the script here, you guys. I mean, it did look very bearish. The reason why it looked bearish is because we had lower highs here while providing higher highs. That's hidden bearish divergence. Typically what that is like your price is cooling off from being oversold, and now it's ready to come back down. Your RSI is ready to plunge back down again. You tried. You bounced right off the oversold zone, and that was a very powerful signal. And then, from then on, your higher highs actually correlated with higher highs in the price as well. And you flipped the script. You turned it bullish. This is actually a nice trajectory that we're on right here. It's kind of got its own little trend going, right? Higher lows, higher highs. We've even broken out of that to the upside. I think that this will continue either to a point where we reject the overbought zone or to a point where we're inside the overbought zone like this. I don't expect that we're going to see deep readings and what's the word that I want to use here? Consistent readings in the overbought zone. I'm not expecting this. I'm expecting something more like this, like this, like this, like these, something like that. But that will likely mark the end of this uptrend, and I don't think that we're there yet. Okay. Stochastics rejecting the overbought zone, coming down. We can still find support at the 50 again, suggesting that we could go a little bit lower from here. We could even close the day a little bit lower than here. The MACD is shaping up in a bullish way, but still overall bearish as well. We look at the trend here on the oscillators with the MACD. Here's another thing that suggests that we could go higher. I mean, just imagine the oscillators here come up and find resistance right there. Right as soon as we cross above, right, that's whenever we reject down. That's exactly what we did last time. That might be exactly what we do here. In this overall bearish dynamic, I think that's possible, right? Whenever we were in an overall bullish dynamic and we'd come down below the MACD, we'd actually bounce and reject there. And then from that point, we continued on to higher highs. Right? When we're in an overall bullish dynamic with the MACD, we'd come down and bounce off the zero. As soon as we went below the zero, we'd come right back up above the zero, right? Now we're in a bearish dynamic overall in the price and with the MACD. I think that the opposite might happen. And again, looking at this trend with the oscillators, I think that makes sense. The sense that I'm making, in case it's not clear, I've said it a bunch of times, I'm just going to say it one more time, is that even if we go lower from here, even if we close back below this daily high close, I still think that there is a good chance, a solid chance, that we form a higher low overall and that we do form a higher high. I just don't believe that this higher high, when it comes in, is going to be exuberant. I don't believe it's going to mark the end of the bear market. I don't believe it's going to kick off the bull market. And we likely just kind of consolidate, move sideways, and maybe we form a double top or something going into April, May, whatever. And then we're just range bound. We're range bound. I do not expect that we're going to see prices above 80K, but if we do, maybe 85K at the most, somewhere in that range. That's kind of the limits of my bullishness there. If we get above 85K, I mean, the idea that this is the quote-unquote bear market low, the correction low, really starts to become a strong theory at that point. At that point, I would start to believe, guys. If we get above 85K on a regular daily closing basis, 2 days in a row closing above 85K, even closing above 80K, that would be pretty damn exciting. But that's a ways away. We're at 69K right now. Let's just see how that goes. It could be 5 days away in this context. But I don't really have anything else to say. I hope that everybody's okay with this little drop. It's not too dramatic. I mean, we really are just at the same levels that we've been for the past month. We're at the same levels here where people wish that they bought before we went on this exuberant run here, right? It's still, in the grand context of Bitcoin's history, this is still a very obvious opportunity to buy. I don't think that the fun's over yet, but Bitcoin has been throwing us for a spin left and right. We're probably going to keep going lower. My expectation, plain and simple, if there's a summary of this video, would be that we go below this trend line. We're doing it now. We find support below this trend line, not at the trend line. We'll find support somewhere down here, probably around 68, 67K, and then recover from there. I'm just going to take this low to high real quick. Right at the 0.5, right at 68K, I could see that. If it's not 68K that we find support, maybe we wick down as low as like 66.7 to 65.9K. If 65.9K breaks, at that point, we will start to talk about this as if it was a fake out, and we will brace for impact down here below 60K. Okay, let me say it again. I'm expecting that we find support below this trend line, probably around 68K to 65.9K, somewhere in this range, with more of an emphasis up here around the 0.5 area. Not the golden ratio zone. Bitcoin does like its 0.5. It's liked it a lot lately. But even if it goes to its golden ratio, that's fine. If we break below 65.9K, that likely would imply, breaking below implies a closing price, not just a wicking price, though I'd probably not like to see a wicking price either. But if we close below 65.9K on a daily basis or multi 4-hour basis, that would likely imply that this is a fake out overall, and we should brace for prices below 60K. Even if we go below 60K, this would be the extreme end of that. We would probably not go lower than 56K, and then after we would recover. Okay, Bitcoin might see some crazy volatility. That's not my call, but that's a scenario that we're laying out. The call that I'm making, again, clearly, is that we will find support here, recover, and that we have higher prices to go still, which is opposite of what my call has been throughout most of this. So now that that's happened, maybe we do see a lower low. I don't know. Time will tell. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one, okay? I don't think I have anything else to say. Let's look at the ribbons real quick. It's never a bad idea. The 4-hour ribbons sometimes are helpful, sometimes. I mean, right now they definitely look like they're helpful. With this scenario, you would expect to find support below the ribbon as you did here. I mean, they're bullish on the 4-hour, but it's not really a whole lot to go off of. The daily ribbon, looking at it like this, definitely makes me think that we're going to go above, right? This is how I like to think of the ribbon, and it's not 100% guaranteed, but this is just how I like to look at it. Whenever we're trending, right, we find resistance, we reject. We rejected the ribbon right there immediately, rejected it right there immediately. Here we rejected it right there immediately, and now we're starting to live inside of it. Do you see that? Typically, whenever we live inside of it, before we progress lower, what we will see is price above the ribbon, and then we go lower. It's the same thing to the down or to the upside, right? We're finding support right at the ribbon, finding support right there. Then when we start to live in it, before we actually start to move higher, we find support below the ribbon. It's not a perfect thing. It doesn't always happen that way, but I hope that makes a little bit of sense. Here, we rejected the ribbon, but now we're starting to live inside the ribbon. I think that this means, even if we come down outside the ribbon, I think that we have a date with destiny above the ribbon before we actually progress lower. It's just another thing that, from the way that I do my analysis, kind of suggests that we will see higher prices than what we have here. I got nothing else. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.